relations, there are some issues that it totally rejects. And these also we take on board in the current situation in the African continent in relations with Islam or Christianity and Islam, Christians and Muslims. It rejects syncretism. I wouldn't want to explain it. It rejects also proselytism. You will get the details when you have it. It abhors religious indifferentism. Maybe to say something about indifferentism, since that looks like a different word, not very much familiar, it means refusal to identify with any religion in these relations with the argument or excuse that they are humanists or post-modern liberals. In other words, in Christian-Muslim relations, you cannot come and say, as for me, I don't believe anything. I'm just somebody who has come so that we can relate. Then that is not your area. Just go away. Because it is a relation of people of faith, not people without faith, or people who are unsure about their faith. That's what it says. And it rejects theological relativism. Crucial. It does reject theological relativism. This means that it rejects any religious ideology that seeks to say that all religions are the same. They are not the same. All religions are not the same. I'd like to emphasize that. What Christian-Muslim relations leaves intact. It leaves intact the right and indeed the duty of every Christian to propagate the gospel and for every Muslim to carry out Muslim da'wah. That's a call or invitation for non-Muslims to become Muslims. In other words, it upholds religious freedom. Having said all this, there are, and I hope someone will tell me when I am about when my time is getting near. So you
have 10 minutes more.
I have 10 minutes.
Very soon.
Within 10 minutes, I have...
You have 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Thank you for revising that. Let me say very clearly that there are critical issues in the Christian-Muslim relations that we will need to take seriously. And instead of... Well, let me list them very quickly. There are so many, but I have chosen about 6 or 7. That's unethical religious expansionist policies is one. The challenge of translating good precepts in religion into good practice in everyday life. The next one is globalization, internationalization, importation, exportation of conflicts into Africa. The next one is negative solidarity. The next one is ethnicism, finding an ally in religion. Then the other one, unable to differentiate fact from fiction. Then political manipulation. There are many more, but time only permits me to list this. Maybe in the paper it will be expanded. So having tabulated it, let's look at unethical religious expansionist policies. The well-known fact that Christianity and Islam are the two great missionary religions in the world today means that the two religions are competing for membership and for space to practice their respective faiths. Sub-Saharan Africa appears to be the region where the two religions are growing faster, perhaps more than anywhere else in the world. I don't know. The methods employed to make converts, however, are without a guiding ethic. These methods are without a guiding ethic, and therefore give room for some preachers from both sides of the religious divide to use inconsiderate and in some cases offensive language to propagate their religion. It is well known that negative perceptions of Christians and Muslims of each other's religion, drawn from medieval polemics between Christians and Muslims, for example, are deployed by these provocative preachers. These methods breed conflict, which in many cases usually degenerate into violent confrontations. In some countries in Africa, there are itinerant preachers who use both the Bible and the the Quran in public preaching against one another. Some simply condemn the other's religion. So such provocative preaching creates animosity, it poisons relations, and leads to violent conflict. In some places, radio stations of particular religions condemn the other's religion and employ preachers who have the habit of not saying how good their own religion is, but how bad the other person's religion is. In Christian-Muslim relations in Africa, it is clear that if we have to have peace, Christian and Muslim leaders need to consider ways and means of censoring, maybe it's a strong word, but censoring their own provocative preachers and outlining to them a code of conduct that allows them to speak about the good of their religion and not the bad of the other person's religion. The tendency for Christian and Muslim leaders to say that those who indulge in provocative preaching are extremists and therefore uncontrollable is unacceptable, as it is something that no one would like to buy in. For, in the first place, if such provocative preaching produces violent reactions, both the guilty preachers themselves and their innocent co-religionists suffer the consequences. Even sometimes, those who preach it are the first to run away.
Oh, yes.
And those who stay and even didn't know something happened in this town, they are the ones who die. So there have been instances when foreign preachers invited into a country stimulate violence in their preaching and quickly leave the country when fighting erupts. In those situations, the Christian and Muslim leaders are usually called upon to restore peace. Why can't Christian and Muslim leaders be proactive in preventing actions that will produce strife and violence, rather than being reactive to bring about peace when they could have done everything to prevent the preaching that produced the violence from taking place in the first place? The second one, the challenge of translating good precepts in religion into good practice in everyday life. As referred to earlier in this presentation, Christianity and Islam wield the largest numbers of adherents in Africa. When it comes to a head count of people of religion in Africa, one needs no scientific census to come to that conclusion that Christians and Muslims are the majority in the African continent, even though, like my professor said this morning, combined together, the 100% are African traditional religions. Talk about violence and adherence of the two religions. If you talk about violence to Christians and Muslims, you talk about violence and adherence of the two religions are always at pains to convince all others that their religions have peace in their core teachings, and that those who embark on violence are not true Christians or are not true Muslims. Who are they? They have a yardstick to measure. Let them tell us. But having said that, Christianity, for example, argues that the advent of Christ was announced with the angels' song, peace and goodwill among humankind, thus indicating that Jesus the Christ brought peace to humankind. In fact, Jesus is referred to as the Prince of Peace. Isaiah, we know that. Muslims, on the other hand, have always passionately explained that the word Islam, which translates as submission, also has in it salam, which means peace. Now, in fact, the normal routine greetings we know of Muslims is Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, with the response alaikum salam, which literally means also unto you also be peace. And we know of Christianity, we talk about the peace of the Lord be with you, and also with you. Judeo-Christian tradition of the greetings of Shalom, isn't that? Now, if the two religions which have the largest following in Africa are religions of peace, then one would expect the continent to be experiencing peace. This is certainly not the case, as conflict